Special Agent for the INS, Michael Cutler, for more on this issue. Okay, the DREAM Act. It stands for, excuse me, Development, Relief, and Education for Alien Minors Act. Again, if you come here prior to the age of 16 and you do these things, serve in the U.S. military, attend college, you can be a citizen. What's the problem?
You know, my colleague who served in the government would say it's a serious problem. I was a federal prosecutor, wore a mayor's hat for a few years, and I have to tell you that I think it's the right thing to do. There are 2 million children that were brought into this country by the grace of their parents, no act of their own. And if we are not going to remove them with 7,000 ICE agents, 200 judges, with 2.1 million children, we don't have the resources, handcuffs, jails, or beds to get them out. Now, do we want people sitting dormant? Well, from Mayor Koch to our current mayor in New York, everybody's a strong advocate. We're paying for their schooling now. Now, do we want the economy to get the productivity, the benefits of this? Do we want them to contribute back? They contribute exponentially more to the immigrant community. We are in a national suicide if we don't understand that putting a Band-Aid on cancer, on immigration, will not cure the problem.
Mr. Cutler, what's your take on this?
Well, first of all, they're no longer children. I find two things remarkable. Number one, that letter A for alien. Normally, if you talk about aliens, the open borders crowd gets very upset. Now, all of a sudden, it becomes acceptable. The term alien simply means any person who's not a citizen. But the other part of it is minor. We're talking about aliens who are as old as 30. They're no longer children. And you know, if we learned from history, 1986 as an agent, what I saw was when we legalized 4 million and we were told there'd be 1 million. I suspect this could easily grow into 10 million by the time we're done with this. They start to demand proper wages. The reason people intentionally hire illegal aliens is to exploit them. If they can't be exploited, they're going to be fired. If you fire these people, they're going to wind up on unemployment. Look what just happened now with this whole thing about extending unemployment benefits for U.S. citizens. We could potentially have millions more people on unemployment. They'd bring their families here. They'd bring their children and put them into our school system because these aren't children.
All right,
these
Michael,
are adults.
I want to ask you about this because one of the key points here is if you serve in the U.S. military, you can become a citizen. We've done these stories before where you can actually serve in the military without being a citizen. A lot of folks don't know that. And they serve in Iraq, they serve in Afghanistan, right? They've done their part. They should be made a citizen. What's wrong with that?
All right, I'll tell you what, if we screen people carefully, that's great. And I certainly commend their dedication to our country and their service. Let me make that clear. But we also have a problem, a growing problem of gang membership. I've spoken to people in the military. Let me make my point, Mike. Where they're seeing MS-13 graffiti in Afghanistan and Pakistan. If we don't know who we're putting into the military, and I worked with various law enforcement back in the 70s of illegal aliens who were getting false ID to join the military to learn how to use weapons and pull off bank robberies in New York.
If I may,
that's a problem.
First of all, the statute here stops at age 29. And when you were an agent in 1986, it was President Reagan, a Republican, who understood that you had to let a little air out of the tire, that you can't have people here. It's not fair to say that foreigners, aliens, which is an offensive word, be it a legal word, is actually a person who's going to gravitate towards gangs. These are children who know no other country, have as much allegiance to this flag, would serve in our military, put themselves in harm's way, and we're not going to allow them to be educated.
Michael, your family knows about immigration because on the day after the anniversary of John Lennon being assassinated, your dad actually helped John Lennon get his green card, right? Or his papers to stay here.
It was a 4-year battle. My dad's a rock star in the immigration field. You were an adjudicator at the time when my dad
Well, that was back in the 70s.
Things changed with...
People of my father's ilk who have a landscape view of immigration are disappointed and question whether or not this country is heading in the right direction. No doubt we want to rid ourselves of alien absconders, criminals, people who are sexual predators, but not every foreigner. Anybody watching this has a direct link to immigrants.
All right.
But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we need to know who we're dealing with. You know,
you're dealing with kids. You're dealing with children.
Mike, hang on. You had your shot. Here's mine. The deal is this. You know, right now, because we've had a guy by the name of Richard Reed put bombs in his shoes, we have to take our shoes off. The underwear bomber, we're being X-rayed. We know that dozens of terrorists...
Richard Reed was not a U.S. citizen.
No, he was a British national.
Right.
Now, what's remarkable...
What does he have to do with anything?
Well, I'll tell you what he has to do with it. The visa waiver program enabled him to get on the airplane and try to come to America. Let me just finish. The point is that we never addressed the immigration component to the national security crisis created by the terrorists. We know that the 9/11 Commission, that I provided testimony to the 9/11 Commission, they identified behind 94 terrorists operating in our country in the decade before 9/11.
but not all
Of the
people-
94, 59 used immigration fraud. Fraud runs so rampantly.
It's broken.
USCIS.
We know-
let me finish.
we know the system
Let me
is broken.
finish. Let me finish,
Actually,
Mike.
you're both finished. I'm sorry. We gotta go. We gotta go.
One fast
Mr.
question.
Cutler.
What about Americans that are out of work and American kids that aren't getting the
Okay, that
education
doesn't
they
The
necessarily-
need?
system is broken. It needs to be fixed. We represented the gentleman who subdued the shoe
Michael.
bomber, and he was put in immigration proceedings.
Michael. The Michaels.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
us.
Nice to
Let's
see you.
fix
Thank
do
you.
this again.
Absolutely. Let's do it again.
Another Michael.
Yes.
Another
Mike
Michael.
Woods, take it
Right.
away.